Morning YouTube. This is a video response in part to Corey and Erica's question of what weapon system would you take to the end of the world? The AK47 or the AR15? On the left here we have Mikhail Kalashnikov's AK47, on the right Eugene Stoner's M16, AR15. So let's get down to the nuts and bolts of it. What is really the difference? In front of them you see respectively the rounds, the 7.62 and the 5.56. Virtually the same size bullet. Obviously the 7.62 is a little bit bigger round diameter. It's going to have a little bit higher ballistic coefficient as far as quote unquote knockdown power, which I don't even know what that truly means. It's just a term. But ultimately they're the same size bullet. They're roughly the same length. They're roughly the same weight, which is going to be important to you in an end-of-the-world situation. How much ammunition you can carry. As you know, your average magazine for each holds 30 rounds. With a little bit of modifications to either, you could put optics on them. The Kalashnikov, being a gas piston-driven system, is deemed a little bit more reliable as far as dirt and grime and cleaning. You can actually put a gas piston system on any of your AR-15s, which I have most of mine, including the one sitting there in front of you. That's a Bushmaster. That's my 16-inch barrel version. I normally use it with just a carrying handle on it. It's my generic rifle to train with. It's not as Swiss Armied out as my 10-inch barrel M4 that you might have seen in another video, which we'll see here a little bit later. But what's the difference? Out of the box range, they say the effective range of the AK-47 is roughly 500 yards and the effective range of the AR-15 is roughly 600 yards. So they're negligible. It's about the same thing for all intents and purposes. We can mount optics on either one of them. We can put high-speed, all the high-speed Ninja 5 stuff. They make anything and everything you want for either one of them. So what's it come down to? Why is there such a division between the AK guys and the AR guys? Ultimately, they're the same. Both of them guns right there have killed more people than smallpox across this planet over the last 30 years. So what's the difference? Well, for me, let me show you what the difference is. If I got to pick one of them to take to the end of the world, zombie apocalypse, 2012, whatever, mass societal breakdown because of the economy. You pick your scenario. There's a million of them out there. I'm going to take the one on the right, and let me show you why. Based on the fact that I have to leave my house, this is the number one reason right here. I will take the M16 or the AR-15. I can carry that little critter right there, and now I have two weapon systems in one. That is a 22 conversion kit for an AR-15. They're cost a couple $100. I don't know. There's cheap ones. There's good ones. That one there was about $275. This gives me the opportunity for hunting and small game and so on and so forth to use very cheap, very light. 500 rounds of 22 ammunition weighs what, a pound? I can carry a lot of that and reduce my combat load, or my load of 223 ammunition, down to where I don't have to carry 10,000 rounds of 223 to survive whatever. I can carry several thousand rounds of 22 in place of the 223, and I can hunt everything we'll find in the part of the country I live in. You can knock down a deer with a 22 if you take a headshot, close range. Rabbits, squirrels, whatever I need to eat, whatever I need to use to feed my family. That is truly the biggest innovation in those two weapon systems for the end of the world guys, as far as I'm concerned. Now, like I said, you can put in anything and everything you want on an AR-15. From long-range optics to close-quarters optics to just good old-fashioned iron sights. and you can do the same to the AK-47. But that 22 conversion kit right there is why that gun, if I have to pick one and leave, is what I'm taking. Now in my case, I have the luxury of having more bodies that when I do leave I'm going to be taking with me, and my children. And all my children are accomplished marksmen. All of them can run either one of those weapon systems. In fact, my oldest boy really loves the AK. I'd probably have to talk him out of taking that. But with my specific setup, I have a couple of different innovations. One being this. And for all the YouTube police Nazis, that is a registered silencer manufactured by S&S Arms out of Tonkawa, Oklahoma. There's a shout out to Colby. He builds great suppressors. That one was actually commissioned to me while I was in law enforcement. It is built to sustain full auto fire. It is solid stainless and it is heavy. But the beauty of that, and that is his first design of it, is it'll go on any standard AR-15 flash suppressor. The new versions, obviously. The things you're buying today. If you'll notice that I don't have any of the high-speed comps on any of my ARs because they all can take that single suppressor. So why is that important? 22 is notably quieter than an AR-15, so once you run it through a suppressor, you get the option of drastically reducing noise. Which, if you're hunting and you're trying to stay hid in the woods, being able to take food quietly is a great advantage. Now, you move into, well, what about the end of the world and you're trying to protect yourself and all that? And I don't know how much of this you'll actually be able to see where that camera is. This is another variant of my personal AR-15s. That is a Rock River lower and a custom built upper with Krager barrel. It's a medium barrel. I have shot that specific weapon system effectively out to 800 yards, holding a 2.5 inch group at 800 yards from the prone position off that bipod. And with that suppressor on it, makes it relatively quiet. You get much past 50 yards in front of me and you can't even hear that round. So to me, there's another innovation. I've never even actually had a 22 conversion kit in this specific weapon system because I don't see the need. For me, that is long range, deal with problems before they get close enough to deal with you. Now, the weapon system that I put my 22 conversion in more often than not is my 10-inch barrel Colt. This is kind of my do-it-everyday gun. I keep EOTech optics on it. But the beauty of that weapon system right there is it does have flip-up rear sights, which are currently zeroed to the 22 conversion. So I've got the EOTech zeroed to the 223, and I re-zero the flip-up rear sights to the 22. And in about 4 seconds, the time it takes to take the bolt carrier out of that weapon system and put that new one back in there, change magazines, I'm going back and forth between 223 and 22 for hunting purposes. However, there is an interesting phenomenon that happens with that suppressor. If I put that suppressor on the front of that 10-inch barrel gun, which obviously quiets it down, it also makes the bullet impact of the 22s exactly the same out to 100 yards as the bullet impact of the 223 without the suppressor. So I put the suppressor on the 10-inch barrel and my EOTech's good out to 100 yards with 22. So obviously for me that is value added. And the one thing I've always been about is 2-for-1 value added. Anything I can do to get ahead in the situation. So Corey, Erica, that's why I'm going to take the 223 to the end of the world. I'm going to take the AR-15 to the end of the world. as another little side note, when it does come time for the end of the world, and my firm belief is when it comes time for everybody needing a gun, there will be plenty of them laying on the ground. The .22 ammunition, I can stockpile a ton of it and have something to go. In every end of the world situation, the availability of ammunition far exceeds the availability of rifles as a problem. I can stockpile all I need. The rifles will be plentiful, especially when other people start to run out of bullets. But the big thing for me is how long can I stay out, keep my family fed off the land, and not worry about running out of ammunition. Because the last thing I think anybody needs to be planning for, not saying not training for, should the breakdown of economic society come, you want to avoid an armed conflict with bad guys, whoever the bad guys happen to be, to the best of your abilities. You need to be prepared for it and trained for it, but you don't want to do it, because the minute you get into an armed conflict, whether you're the greatest gunman in the world or not, your chances of dying go way up, which means the ability for you to feed your family, in my case, goes way down. I'm not looking to get into a fight. However, when it comes time to protect my family, I'm ready for it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again.